guys, and welcome to Walking and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kristina Carman, and I'm so excited for today's show. We're going to talk all about cold and flu season. I know maybe you're not all excited about this show, but it's going to be fabulous because I think this tis the season when everyone's like snuffly and coughing and spluttering and everything's going on, and they're just grumpy with the fact that they don't really have the tools to support their bodies. And my little boy, 13-year-old little boy, was off school on Monday this week, really feeling unwell. And I just thought, oh, I've got to do this show to talk to you guys about all the things that we've done to support him. And he's feeling so much better. And it's like there's no cold. So pretty amazing, the powers of nature and what we can do to support our bodies. So first up, always, let's talk about food. Food is remarkable. And I know there's a lot of discussion on the fact that we're really, our soil is so depleted and yada, yada, our food's traveling from lots of different places. Yes, there is all of those things to factor in. But even then, at the end of the day, we still need to be looking at food sources to support our immune system and to support our bodies. So what are some of the top foods that I would kind of incorporate when we have colds or flus, or we're really feeling under the weather? First up is berries. So berries like look at blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries. These are incredible little powerhouses of antioxidants, and they really help to reduce inflammation. So you think of a cold and a flu, this is an inflammatory response in the body to a pathogen. So this is a really important one to add in. Then also look at vitamin C rich foods. So citrus fruits like oranges, limes, grapefruits, lemons, are really loaded with vitamin C. And they are the world's most powerful antioxidants. Also on this list here, I would add in like kiwis. I love kiwis. They're incredible, really super rich in vitamin C. They're also fiber rich, those lovely little black seeds in them. And then bell peppers, and also look at cauliflower. Incredible. Then leafy greens. I know we talk all about leafy greens all the time, about adding more leafy greens into our diet, but for good reason. They're really high in vitamin A and vitamin C, and these are really important nutrients and vitamins that our bodies actually need during an accelerated immune response. So look at spinach, kale, arugula, Swiss chard. Incredible foods. They're also packed full of other vitamins and minerals that really support immunity as a whole. Then let's look at fish, or more importantly, your omega-3 essential fatty acids. So look at like salmon, sardine, mackerel, trout, anchovies. And these are not always foods that we tend to gravitate towards, particularly when we're really feeling under the weather. So I will tell you guys a little bit of, moving forward, we'll talk a little bit more about omega-3 supplementation. So I know, it's not always the go-to foods, particularly when we're not feeling very well. That's kind of when we want these like comfort foods that tend to not be very good for us, but really try to encourage a little bit of that energy into your diet if you can, during your cold and your flu season, shall we say. The nuts and seeds. This is a beautiful little powerhouses full of goodness. But one of the important thing when it comes to nuts and seeds, particularly ones like almonds, walnuts, and sunflower seeds, is they're really high in zinc. And zinc is really effective in reducing the severity of coughs and colds. So an important nutrient to consider, maybe even supplementing during a cold and flu, but also really make sure that dietary sources of zinc are there, not only during a cold and flu, but just generally, because it's a mighty little trace mineral, that we need so much for so many different body pathways. Then moving on, what are some other key things that we can really kind of incorporate? Now, if you've listened to any of my shows before, you know that I go on about hydration, and here it is again. We need to drink plenty of water so that it really helps our respiratory system and mucous membranes stay moist. And this will really help against, not only to defend against viruses, but also really support that healing process. So if water isn't always your thing when when you have a cold, look at herbal teas. Herbal teas with those incredible immune boosting herbs like echinacea and elderberry are incredible and really soothing. So consider those as well. getting enough sleep. Now, I think we tend to be very much in a bit of a sleep deficit, just as a society as a whole, because we're super stressed and we have a lot of things on our shoulders that are weighing us down, and we just simply don't prioritize sleep or quality sleep. And getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep is incredibly essential to make sure that your immune system functions as at its best. Now, most people are not getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And in fact, actually, if you have these fancy little aura rings or anything like that, sometimes it actually gives you real insight to think, well, I'm spending a lot of time in bed, but I'm actually not sleeping. The quality of sleep is not there. Or, it's actually, maybe the wraparound care for your sleep hygiene isn't actually conducive to you resting and resting adequately for 7 hours or 9 hours or whatever it is. Maybe you're watching, some really intense TV show, or, eating a meal too late, or you haven't had enough fluids in the day. And actually that's impacting how your body is able to regenerate and reset while you're sleeping. So these are really important things to look at. What are not only the sleep quality in the sleep, but also what's the wraparound stuff happening so that we're really encouraging that restfulness and that that optimum sleep those sleep patterns, and consistency is really key here. So the other one that I would look at, and that this plays a role potentially with the sleep, is reducing the stress. Now, reducing the stress is a really challenging one. I know that we can't do that, uh, so efficiently in our societies, because the stress actually is everywhere and it's not going to go away. So it's a tricky one to sort of talk about, but I am going to talk about it, and I'm going to coach about it, and I'm going to shout from the rooftops about the stress management and how we can really, really support this and make time for this and prioritize this, because chronic stress will damage your immune system. Full stop. This is so incredibly well studied, and we know this now. This last weekend, I was very fortunately was invited by the FLCCC to be in Phoenix to talk all about boosting our immune system. And we were discussing, you know, all the different things that we can do. And one of the things that myself and one of my gorgeous nurse practitioners that I was presenting this panel with, we were talking about, was stress, and actually stress and how it has a huge impact on our immune system as a whole. So, I know that meditation and yoga may not be for everybody, but there are so many other things that we can do. So we have these incredible lungs that we carry with us all the time. So deep breathing exercises, you can do that anywhere, even if you're driving in the car, or if you're standing in the queue at the airport, or even as you're writing emails. Like, it's just about bringing a little bit of more of that mindful energy into being aware of how we're responding to that stress. Maybe it's taking a lunchtime walk so that you're really balancing that day. Maybe it's, my next tip is about exercise and bringing regular exercise. And exercise can sometimes be a double-edged sword for some people, because too much or too excessive or intense physical activity can sometimes actually have a knock-on effect, and it can affect that immune response if we're really in a stress state. But does that mean that you shouldn't be exercising at all? No, not necessarily. It means we need to find and kind of balance the way that we're moving our bodies in a way that is still supportive and then is not suppressive. So that might take a little bit of thought, like, well, maybe I'm not going to go for a run today because I'm really feeling quite stressed at the moment. Maybe I'll go for a walk, or maybe I'll do some yoga, or maybe I'll do some Pilates, or I'll do some sort of other form of exercise, of movement in our body. So I'm actually supporting and enhancing that immune system rather than really suppressing it and causing maybe more stress to the body. And then maybe once we've come over that stressful period, or we're getting a little bit better at managing our body's stress response, and you can certainly tell when this happens, particularly if you're aware and you're being very mindful of how you're supporting your body, maybe then you can bring a little bit more of that intensity into your exercise and the way that you're moving. So guys, it's always about balance, and this is what our bodies thrive on, is balance, and they're always going to want to come back to this beautiful balanced state. Then what else can we do? So rest and self-care. Now, I think I'm probably needing to do a podcast just on this alone, because this is something that I see this with my patients all the time. They're like, well, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm constant. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. But I do think that there's like this glorification of being busy that, and we're really proud to tell each other that we're really busy. I mean, myself included, I'm like, oh, I'm so busy. I've got so much on at the moment. And actually, genuinely, I feel like it's almost like a badge of honor in some way. And I think that maybe we need to reframe this. I truly do, because I don't think it's serving us very well. And I'm putting myself in this bucket as well, guys. It is a work in progress, and it's something that it's certainly one of my goals for this year is to be better at resting and to be better at self-care and to really establish, what does self-care mean to me? And maybe that's a conversation you can have with yourself. What does that mean to me? Because it's not all bubble baths and lighting beautiful candles. I mean, I'm partial to all those things, so go ahead if that floats your boat. But, it's about taking a break. And, if you're feeling unwell, give yourself the time to recover. Remember that, you know, you can rest. You don't have to quit. Okay. There is it's a real valuable skill that we need to learn, that resting is actually okay. And there's no harm in that. You're not going to miss out on your life. You're not going to, really affect anything. In fact, actually, I think if you give yourself this time to rest and to take a pause, to take a step back, to reflect and self-reflect, we actually become so much more present and aware of what's happening in our lives, that actually it's beneficial. So consider that. Now, I get this asked all the time. What are some of the nutrients or supplements that you can take while you have a cold? So some of my go-to ones tend to be vitamin D. I think generally we have challenges with vitamin D anyways, particularly if we're living in northern hemisphere countries. During the winter, we're not getting enough from from the sunlight. And actually, you need to expose very large parts of your body in order to get adequate amounts of vitamin D absorption from the sun. I'm not saying don't spend time outdoors, 100% do it. Spending time outdoors, breathing fresh air, nature, sunlight, all of those things will balance and support all of those pathways, not only vitamin D synthesis, but also your circadian rhythm, which is very important for sleep and sleep energy. So definitely look at that, but also consider the supplementation. And this might be a consistent supplementation. So finding, those levels of where you are. I'm quite a big fan and proponent of testing your vitamin D levels to see where you are, and then kind of adequately supplement based on that. And you can test twice a year. So test at the end of the summer months. And then test again as you come out of the winter to see where you are. And that kind of can give you a bit of a baseline as to how you would supplement. And this goes for children as well. I would 100% be supplementing vitamin D with kids because they simply don't get enough. Look at probiotics. Uh, I mean, our immune systems are housed in our gut. So this is a very important one to look at, but also look at consuming probiotic rich foods. So, your yogurt, if you can tolerate dairy, kefir, you can make, coconut kefir, amazing. Water kefir, all beautiful fermented agents, sauerkraut, kimchi, all of this can support that beautiful gut health and that immune response. I really love herbs. I've done quite a lot of herbal medicine qualifications, and I use a lot of that in my practice, within my practice, but also within my home with my children. So look at things like echinacea, look at elderberry, garlic. Oh, garlic is incredible. Look at oregano oil, incredible. Very, very powerful for boosting that immune system and supporting your immune response. Also look at astragalus, incredible herb, very powerful. And these all have these immune boosting properties. Now, just be careful here with herbs. There are some interactions, some drug interactions. So if you have other complex things going on, it might be useful to speak to a healthcare professional, before starting to supplement with this. But generally, these are really beautiful ones that you can add in. Okay. Now, omega-3 essential fatty acids, we talked about this before. A huge fan. Commonly this is a nutrient or a healthy fat that is found in fish oils, flaxseed, walnuts, but it plays a really crucial role overall for your overall health for so many different body pathways. But it has a particular beneficial effect during a cold and a flu, really because of its an anti-inflammatory properties and immune modulating. and it's very supportive for respiratory health. So really consider that one. I often go down more like a cod liver oil kind of route because often it has vitamin D, vitamin A. Again, these are really very important for immune system, so it's already added, or as a part of the cod liver oil. So a nice one to add in. You can get in liquid form or tablet form. Liquid form sometimes works really well. Nice little spoonful, off it goes, and really supportive for the immune system. I love homeopathy and tinctures. So I use a lot of this in my practice. So homeopathy and a traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, these offer a variety of remedies and tinctures that are often used, and I use them very regularly to help alleviate symptoms and support the recovery from cold and flu. So these approaches are based on very beautiful, gentle, but yet powerful holistic practices. And they focus on balancing the body's energy, or chi, shall we say, by boosting its natural capabilities. So what your body can do innately on its own is incredible. So yeah, I'll use a lot of those, and I think I'll probably do another show just on some of these herbs and kind of break them down on the ones that I use specifically. So the other that I love, and in fact, I was just using it this week, is a nebulizer. This is really helpful. You can buy them, they're, cheap and cheerful, and they're really very supportive. So these are devices that convert liquid medication or nutrients into a fine mist that can be inhaled into the lungs. You can nebulize lots of different things. I like using NaC. I use NaC, or I use like colloidal silver. That's really, really beautiful and supportive for the lungs. But you can just use just water, particularly for those, or filtered water, shall we say, for those that have kind of inflammation or some wheezing issues or difficulty breathing. This is a really lovely one to kind of consider and to add in. So it really helps to open up those airways and reduce the inflammation and maybe facilitate a little bit easier breathing. Lovely, lovely one to add in. I also love nasal irrigation. So techniques like the neti pot or saline nasal sprays, these are really beautiful to use. It helps to clear those passages. It was so funny. My lovely little boy was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, I did the nasal irrigation and you wouldn't believe the things that came out my nose." So, there can be really effective just to really help out and really help clear those passages. Now, the last little beautiful tip I'm going to leave you guys with is get outside and get fresh air. Stepping outside for air, especially when you're suffering from a cold and flu, is so beneficial. Um, you know, we spend so much time indoors and actually can be really stagnant, and the air inside can be really stagnant. So, get outside, get some flow going so that even the concentration of the airborne pathogens and irritants within your home, clears and moves past. So a beautiful one to consider and to add in there to your lovely little arsenal of supportive measures to look after yourself during the cold and flu. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and for listening. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks.